I want you, if you can tonight, you've seen a lot in your business career. Put this budget we'll hear tonight from Josh Frydenberg into a bit of historical context. How important do you regard it?
Well, it's very important, Peter, because of the sheer size of the deficit and the fact that this is a continuation of growing deficits. I know that we were close to a surplus earlier, or in last year, but if you go back 3 years, we were $573 billion gross debt. We're now $1.1 trillion gross debt. The numbers are so mind-boggling, it's hard to get your tongue around them. And just going back 13 years, we were $75 billion. So we're getting to the stage now where we're really looking down the barrel of however we are going to pay this money back. And I think this is a real challenge because there isn't, I think it was Terry McCrann was saying earlier in the show, that we need to look at how we get to more productivity. And I don't want to prejudge the budget because obviously I haven't seen it. But starting at 1.1 trillion, I know that's gross debt, and as Andrew Stone was saying, there are offsetting factors. But when you're a foreign lender, you look at the gross, you don't look at the net. And what is also disturbing is if you look at state debt, just Queensland and Victoria, out to 2023, we're looking at something like $170 billion worth of debt there as well. So these are the fun times, if you like, spending. And I know that the government will argue, well, we are being pragmatic and we've got to be we're well intended, but you've got to look at results, not intentions.
Look, you're absolutely right, actually, to put on the table the state debt, because we'll see there's 3 budget books that come out tonight. I'm saying this, I know you know it, Maurice Newman, but for the purposes of the viewer, Budget Paper 1, which is all the macro Australian national numbers. Budget Paper 2 is the various programs where our money is spent. And Budget Paper 3 is basically the Federation spending, the Commonwealth interacting with the states. Now, I had a look at last year's Budget Paper 3, and of course, almost 50% of the money that states have as their revenue comes from Canberra. You know, the states aren't doing much in terms of productivity, New South Wales aside. They're not doing much heavy lifting. We see your 2 examples, Victoria and Queensland, really racking up state debt. Now, Commonwealth at least has proven to pay off debt. How many of the states have, Maurice Newman? That's got to be a concern.
Well, it is a real concern, and particularly if you look at Queensland, which under the Campbell-Newman government, they did pay off some of their debt, and they got it down to under 80 billion, but we're now headed, and after having raided all of the hollow logs, we're now looking at, as I say, over 100 billion out to 2023, and who knows where that is going to end. And this is the point, Peter. There is no, and as I said, I don't prejudge the federal budget because we haven't seen it. But the question is, where is the money coming from to repay the debt? It's all very well to say, well, the Reserve Bank will pick up the debt by way of bonds, but on the other hand, the Reserve Bank balance sheet then comes into question. So this is not just an endless money tree where there is no sense of some sort of repayment at the end of the day. And I think this is the thing that concerns me.
I think also too, you know, there is this assumption growing out there in the certainly public sector accounting world. This is the bureaucrats who think you can just have growth pay back your debt, that growth will bring your budgets back to surplus. But of course, I've never seen a budget brought back to surplus without some really tough decisions by government to cut spending. Now, do you think we're up for a national conversation in Australia about what sort of retirement we want people to have, how we want to fund our schools more efficiently, where we put our expenditure in terms of roads and other infrastructure, dams, etc.? I mean, are we up for that sort of debate?
Well, we tried to have the debate, if you recall, in 2014, and your then government, the Abbott government, got castigated for even raising these issues, and I thought that we lost a really important moment in history for this country at that time. Now, we've gone completely the other way. We talk about bipartisanship. Well, we certainly have been bipartisan because there's only one ideology. It's a question of where you get to socialism faster under one or the other. And that's where we're headed. I mean, I don't want to sound alarmist. Some people may not be alarmed by the prospect of a socialist future. But we are headed in that direction because there are no plans that I have seen to rein in this expenditure. There's no plans that I've seen to reduce energy costs by a substantial amount. Nothing to do away with a lot of the red and green tape, which is hampering businesses, particularly small businesses. And the IR reforms that are necessary, that discussion is not on the table. No. Until we get to those sorts of issues, the prospect of growth is, I think, very difficult to have in any sort of sensible way.
And I think too, Maurice Newman, I'll have to leave it here now, but I think too, the handling of the pandemic has shown all the stresses that we have in our federation. Maurice Newman, thank you for your time. Thank you for your analysis.
Thank you very much, Peter.